Okay. Again, I cannot share.
All right,
We will get that later on. Yeah.
Yeah, the
let me
problem is
just, there you go. I'm
let me check.
gonna make you a presenter.
Okay. Okay. Can you see my screen? Yes.
It's loading. Yes, we can see your screen now.
Okay. So now how I can exit this? One share.
All right, guys. All right. Welcome, guys, to another episode or another webinar of HB webinar. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening.
Hello.
All right, we're just gonna wait for the rest of the people to log in. So while we are
Oh,
waiting, all right. So while we are waiting, you may follow us in our social media pages. We have LinkedIn, we are in YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. You may search us. It's alatburbaikal.ai or hb.ai. You may also watch our webinars and podcasts in our YouTube channel. It's HB Podcast. And then you may also visit our website. It's hb.ai. Today's webinar wait. Today's webinar is brought to you by the Edge Company and hb.ai. The Edge Company is an Italian deep tech company founded in 2017 that combines specializations in artificial intelligence or AI, neural networks, and deep learning to offer solutions through cutting edge technology products and services on a global scale. To know more, you may visit their website. It's theedgecompany.net. That's theedgecompany.net. And AHB.ai, it's alhatbur.baikal.ai. It's a Sharjah-based product development company located at the Sharjah Research Technology and Innovation Park. We specialize in technology transfer aligning with the UAE's goal of creating homegrown tech products and utilizing the talent from the local universities. And HB is the creator of Maher, the first water-cooled HPC in UAE and the 26th in the world. If you want to know more, you may visit our website. It's hb.ai. That's ahb.ai. Right? So let me share, or let me start with the presentation. And all right, give me a few more seconds. All right, share my screen. All right, so today's webinar is we'll be focusing in the aviation safety, and our speakers for today. Let me do a very quick introduction on our speakers for today. First is Mr. Masi Fabio, the founder and lead executive of the Edge Company. Hello there, Mr. Fabio. Thank you
hello.
for
Hello to
being
everybody.
here.
Thank
All
you to
right,
you.
and
Thank you
Mr.
for
Anang
hosting
Mistry.
me.
All right, thank you. And then Mr. Anang Mistry, the value creation and product management for HB.ai. Thank you for being here, Mr. Anang.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
All right. So, as you may know, Anang is one of the regulars in the um, HP webinar. So feel free to ask your questions, and while the speakers are speaking, feel free to drop your question in the Q&A tab. Also, you can also suggest new, let's say, if you have any specific topics in mind, you may also give us that suggestions, and we'll do our best to cover that in the later episodes. All right, so without further ado, Mr. Anang, you may take the lead. Right, I'm gonna make you a presenter.
Yep, sure. So I'll share my screen and begin. Right. So just to greet you again, Mr. Masi, this is the first time we are interacting. I've interacted with your colleagues before, and was a part of your was a part of the event where you were participating in Dubai a couple of months ago. The first thing that I wanted to ask about is before we start on all those things is where did you come up with this? How did you identify this challenge statement, and what brought you to conclude that this is something that you need to work upon? It needs to be resolved. Something from your experience, something that you had encountered yourself, or like if you can share some light over that.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Sure, yes. All that we do is coming from experience. So I was servicing in the Italian Air Force as a fighter pilot and was appointed as chief of flight safety at my fighter wing. So I was dealing with the bird strike issue since the late 90s. We were discussing about using the F-16 in the Italian Air Force at that time. So I start aggressively trying to find a solution because this kind of aircraft is very sensitive to FOD, so foreign object damage, and the bird is a foreign object damage or debris. And I started trying to find solution out there. I implemented a method that was very successful, actually, because it was implemented then after the results that we obtained Air Force-wise, and was serving as a base for the next regulation that the Civil Aviation Authority issued in Italy. So yes, basically what we have done later on is based on the experience and the pain I lived myself during my service.
Well, that's great to know. So we could probably say that you are a domain expert in this field, given the decades of work experience you've had and something that you faced yourself, which has brought you to do this today, right? Right.
Yes, I thank you for this. Yes, at least I have experience in the field. I have results in the field. So just to give you a number, so the first year we implemented that method, it was 1999 already. We
All right.
reduced the bird strike by 70%, 70%. So yes, at least I can tell that I know the matter.
Right. So when you started off, I'm assuming that there wouldn't have been AI to the extent that we are seeing it now. But as a company, when you've grown into adapting the new technology and enhancing it, is that correct?
Yes, because then at certain point in my life, I decided to do something different. So I left my active duties, and I was looking for something that would have been really effective to counter the bird strike issues. Because statistical data shows that regardless the method used, the current method used, the problem is increasing. So just to give you a reference, the last report issued by the FAA states that there has been an increase in the number of flights, and the percentage of bird strike increase is much higher than the percentage of the flight increase. So I've been working with radar since I started flying with in the Air Force, so I know what the radar can do. I know that the radar wasn't designed to intercept birds, and using humans, yes, could be effective, but there is a lot of variables over there. So you need to take in consideration the skills of the people. You need to take in consideration the number of the people required, because a runway, as a minimum, is 3 kilometers. So you have to have a lot of
Right.
people. That is costly, right? So I was pretty aware of the ineffectiveness of the actual method. So I was looking for something new. And this is where our journey starts. So I was discussing with the university saying, is there a chance, is there a technology that can help me recognizing bird species, counting bird species, tracking bird species? And this is where, again, our journey is. And we decided to take the hardest way, so to develop our own proprietary technology. And I can say now that this has been a winning choice because, of course, we can handle the technology, we can manage the technology, we can improve as we wish without asking to anybody.
Oh, that's great. And I also heard that you've partnered with a European, Europe level. I think it's EASA, if I'm right,
Yes,
agency as
yes,
an
exactly.
advisor. Right.
Exactly. So during our journey, during our presentation to convince people how good the system was, we encountered not only big companies because we are anyway partnered with the most of the biggest company out there, so Lenovo, Nvidia, Bosch, and that they recognize the value of what we're doing. And then we have a memorandum of understanding with the Italian Civilian Aviation Authority. Then we presented this to the European Civilian Aviation Authority, EASA. And yes, we are signing an agreement where the EASA will cooperate with us in assessing the concept of operation we develop for the use of the system, because regardless of what the system is, you need to use the system to make stuff. And yes, we are uh, cooperating with the Civil Aviation Authority, and in the middle of August, we'll be in the United States to present this to the FAA as well.
Well, that's great, sir. That's a lot of progress from the sounds of it. And so you've got a footprint over, of course, Europe is what I'm assuming. So you might have a lot of airports that you're assisting with the system in Europe, and then maybe Asia and Africa as well. Asia and America, sorry, and if Africa. As a
Uh,
footprint as a company, how many airports have you, how many regions have you managed to go in at this? Because it's related to birds, so there's a bit of a geographical element that comes along with it, right? Along with the
yeah,
technology.
absolutely. You are absolutely right. So we've been lucky enough that thanks to the fact that the technology is ours, we implemented the system not only in the airport verticals. So we using the system for the wind farm monitoring. We are using for wildlife protection, and the system is implemented from Bangladesh up to North America, passing through Saudi Arabia and then through Europe. And we have a lot of discussion that goes from Australia to Brazil. So yes, we have airports, we have wind farm, and in all of them. So the message is that our technology is not just a laboratory technology, but it's an actual technology implemented already in real life scenarios. And so all the data we will presenting to you today are taken from real life application in an operational environment. So this is important to highlight.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. So if I think based on that information, if we move slightly ahead on the presentation side, uh, getting into a bit of more statistics, I believe you've given us some numbers as to how much you were able to save in terms of 70% and so on. What does it really cost to airlines and airports in an event of a bird strike, or based on how many bird strikes that are happening every day?
Oh, I really thank you for this question because this is the key, is the essence of
Right.
that. So uh, it's pretty difficult to get real data about the cost. But again, if I mention again the FAA reports, they say that last year, just direct costs, because there are direct costs involved, there are indirect costs involved, costed almost $500 million, just direct cost. So there are assumptions that says that the cost of bird strikes it's over 1.2 billion per year. So there is an old study that says that if an aircraft will be damaged, then you have to go through a kind of a pipeline. So you have to change the aircraft, and then you have at least to change 3 aircraft to replace and reposition the aircraft to satisfy the commercial needs.
Standard.
And this right away will cost to an air carrier about 375, $400,000 right away on your hand. So it's a huge expenses that can be solved, by the way, and without considering the cost of liability or insurance that they are involved. The indirect cost, people that get hungry because they lost their flight. So yes, more or less, we are around $1.2 billion per year.
Right. And when, since you also mentioned the process of replacing it and putting it back to the standards, there would also be a lot loss of money. Is of course that we have numbers on that, but also do we have numbers on how much time does it take, because hours lost in getting back to what you want it to be, right? Do you have any estimations on that? When a bird strikes a plane, what is the turnaround time to get back to your standards?
Yeah, I don't have a
Right.
precise estimation, but what I can tell. So, 2 weeks ago in Italy, an aircraft taking off from an airport in the north of Italy got a bird strike, damaged his engine. Of course, when this happened, the pilot declared emergency. So you completely block over the airport, so nobody can land there before you declare end of emergency, plus the cost of an engine that can be easily up to 7 million. So yes, there is the time loss, there is the operational loss, and there is the real cost of money that you're suffering. And this is a real life. So you can go on the news, you will see this accident reported a couple of weeks ago. So yes, if every time a bird strike happen, I'll give you another example. There is an airport that we are discussing, and we are shortly implement the system in that is in Italy, that for the last couple of weeks had to close the airport at least for 3 hours a day for presence of birds. That means that everybody is losing money because you have a downtime, all the processes, air carriers that eventually need to go landing in another airport, that then they need to arrange a travel for the passengers and stuff like that. So all of these are consequences of a bird strike.
Oh, that's a lot. So I wouldn't be wrong to say that it's more of a concern of the need for being proactive for the airports rather than the airlines, because I think
Uh,
there's a small difference between them.
Yes, in theory, if you start from ICAO, that is International Civil Aviation Authorities, goes down to the regional authorities and local authorities, the responsibility is in the airport management companies. However,
Right.
nobody will be happy about getting a bird strike, right? So because even an air
Right.
carrier that needs to pay or lost an aircraft but in at the end of the day, the true responsibility, accountability is on the airport managing
Oh
company.
God.
So, and this is why we recommend, because of course, if you install the system, and we have data to prove that, you reduce the burst rate, you becoming even more appealing from an air carrier that want to land there, because of course they are sure that all the safety measures are properly implemented.
Got that. So, since even I work in the value creation aspect over here in my company, how I look at it, I think I'm right over here, is that how you place your product in terms of creating value for the industry is where the value you're bringing is that the airports not only save money, but they also save time and incidents and all of that. And plus, there's this emotional aspect of causing less damage or harms to the wildlife or the nature around, right? So that's the overall value proposition that you brought forward with this product.
Not only this, never forget about sustainability. Now, our system is passive, first of all, so we are not
Right.
polluting the environment with electromagnetism. But regardless the damage that an aircraft can suffer in consequence of a bird strike, the bird will surely die. So in our mission statement, it is written that we make your flight safer and we are saving birds. So in the last 50 years, it is proven that the population of the birds is reducing due
Right.
to anthropic activities. And the birds are essential to the ecosystem because they are the first strike if something goes wrong. So they can tell you if something is changing, and we are witnesses the climate change, right? So, and the goodness of our system is that you can capture real time if a change happens. So the value proposition are not only you save money, you optimize your processes, but you are compliant with the SDG goals of the UN
Right.
2030 agenda as well.
Yeah. That makes sense. That's great. Uh, Thanks for that. If I then move on and get a little bit deeper into that, then we've spoken a lot about birds so far, and recently, I believe since 1990s there were no drones back then, at least from what I remember, because I'm born in 1994, so that's my limitation. But drones have been something recent compared to that, and you've incorporated that as well within your technology. So, if you could shed some light on how it's now birds and drone detection together, because although they both can fly, they're pretty different in the way they behave and are operated.
Yeah, thank you again for this question. Yes, in the late 90s, we were just thinking about drones, right? Yes, but now what we are witnesses with all is going on around the world, we see that now drones became a threat. So not necessarily because you want to put a threat, but because, for example, you buy a drone, you play, children play, and then you are in a place where you shouldn't be, and so you are jeopardizing, for example, like happened in the UK, all the activity of an airport because there is this drone flying. What is the difference between our system and other system? We are passive, first of all, so we are not absolutely subject to any kind of electronic warfare. So nobody can jam us. That is a matter of fact. And using radar, for example, to detect drones is pretty difficult, regardless the technology and the money you spend in this kind of technology, because this is a physical limitation. So radar works based on the, so to speak, radar cross section. So how big a radar sees an object, and this measure depends on the material of the object. It depends on the how big this object is. It depends on the speed it goes. Depends if it flies high or low. So if you start putting all the dots together, so a drone usually is made in plastic. It flies low and low. And the last release tells us that they are using operationally in a war environment cat carbon drones. So there is no way a radar, again, regardless the cost or the technology used, can detect these drones. So, and again, we move from a bird detection system to a non-cooperative obstacle detection system because the technology proven that they can detect whatever. So it's an option that it's built in the system. So actually, we can detect drones, aircraft, cars, whatever it is. It depends on the option that the end user requires. We can enable or disable these kind of features. And we proved again that our technology is pretty effective, especially if you have, for example, the drone flying low in a harsh background. We have videos, we did testing in the field that the system can extrapolate all the background, the people around there, and detect just the drone. So as a drone detection, of course, we are a visual system, right? An optical system. Of course, we cannot expect we see a drone at 10 miles away, but for the last mile, yes, we are sure that we can make the difference in detecting even drones, whatever they use they are doing.
Right. So uh, once you detect a drone, and I believe that you use electromagnetism or how else to jam them or bring them down? Like, what is the deterrent mechanism once you've detected a bird versus once you've detected a drone?
Okay, in case of a bird, we move forward with technology. So we smartly control the dispersal system. Even if I want to highlight that to manage effectively the wildlife, the only feature that is required is the human intelligence, and all the technology solutions are features that you can use to make your job easier. Okay, so the system control automatically the dispersal system in a smart way, in a very effective and precise way, because we can determine what is the species, so we can activate dispersal system against that specific species that is flying in a specific direction and is in a specific area. So, and this helps, for example, to avoid the habituation issues, because usually birds are very smart. So usually they get habituated to whatever dispersal system you're using. If you do this in a proper way, we strongly reduce the habituation issues. Of course, we always recommend human supervision. Against drones is a little bit more complex. First of all, depending on the rules that each country has. For example, in Italy, the only one that can intervene in case of a drone is the public service, so the militaries. So usually you have just to say there is a drone, pass the information to the ones that can intervene. In terms of jamming, so right now, the jamming is not against the drones, is not a feature you need to consider anymore since the technology evolved. So now drones are most of the time autonomous. They can use GPS, but again, if you see, you can go on a Skyscanner or whatever it is, where you see all the flights around the world, and you will notice that around France there is a hole where no aircraft is flying. Why? Because they are applying some counter GPS measures, so the GPS in that area is not working. That means that drones can fly in the so-called dead reckoning. So they have a pre-planned route and they can reach the objective regardless. So we do not consider, and this is another good reason why you should use a passive system that is capable to detect a drone, because if you're using electronic warfare technique, most likely you won't detect the drones because they are not more remotely controlled. They are just autonomous. Then when you see the drones, you can advise the public services, the security forces, or you can integrate our solution in a different solution, because we don't take care of the kill chain, we just take care of the detection. And usually there is a statement that against drones you need a system of systems. And we are providing eventually part of this system, providing our detection capabilities.
Right. And when we talk about birds and the entire human intelligence, rehabilitation of those birds, it would be different for different birds, right? Because when you say you've been from Bangladesh till North America, there'll be different birds with different sort of habitual pattern, right? So how has the company so far tackled those kind of varied challenges?
Yes,
Do all birds behave the same, if I'm wrong?
no, 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 they're not the same.
Right.
So again, I insist on the fact that we developed our proprietary technology, taking care of the entire AI pipeline. So from training to inference, so real-time evaluation. We collect a huge amount of data. And the good stuff is that we are in different places, different zones of the world, different birds, different environmental condition that makes our final results a general results, right? So this is what
Right.
everybody is looking, discussing about AI. And we collect a huge amount of data. Every time there is a detection, our system makes a video. And this is another good stuff, good feature of the system, because real time you can appreciate if the system gives you the right results. So it's a 4K video, 25 frames per second. We collect this video, we analyze this video, and then we create our own models. We continuously upgrade features and models. So basically, yes, what we are doing, we are creating a large scale model using all the information that we are capturing all over the world. And we handle all of these by ourselves. So we have in the team not only AI specialists, operational experts, because I'm not the only pilot working in the company. we have biologists. So there is a continuous exchange of information where the biologists express their point of view. They express their technique to recognize species, and our software engineer try to turn this into algorithms that can make the system be able to get close to what a human can do. And in several occasions, the system is much better than the human.
Yeah, that's where artificial intelligence is trying to take away the jobs, right?
Yes.
Thanks for that. Also, one last thing I think I've been asking a lot on this slide, but since you collect a lot of data to train your algorithm and keep improving what you have built, you'd be storing them locally on cloud, and plus you'd be requiring. I'm not sure if you have the technical edge over there, but an HPC kind of high performance compute to run your models on that. If I'm right.
Yes, we okay. How the system works? Yes, we use a HPC server that are on premise, so we
Mhm.
don't use cloud technique, and we develop the pipeline. The data are stored locally, and then we transfer even in our storage. That is a vast data system, one of the most technological advanced system to store the data. So we created a data lake so we can select and recall all the data, the metadata we want. And it's very important. This is a very important question because, of course, depending on the agreement we have with the user, with the a user about data property, of course, by default, we need this data to improve and make the system better. And then time to time, we can discuss with the user about the property or the use of this data. Of course, we won't sell this data to others because we use this data just to retrain the system. But of course, again, we are creating a large scale model on birds and on another obstacles
Right.
worldwide. So, but again, this is another kind of pipeline that we manage ourselves internally in the company.
Right, that's it. So there is data sovereignty and localization wherever you go, and nothing's leaving the borders. That's somewhere that even we align in the views and the goals. Where at AHB we've been providing and setting up a lot of on-premise servers so that the data stays within the region, within the country, as it's important for it to stay secure that way. Uh,
Yes,
all right, next.
absolutely.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Right. Going back to Mark, are there any poll questions, answers to that before we
All
move on?
right. A poll question will be showing up in your screen, guys. So kindly answer that. There are three questions so far, and then
All right.
right, so people are answering now. So yeah, about the question, how important is real-time data collection and situational awareness in improving airport safety?
Uh, it is essential. So one of the biggest pain points all the authorities are having is that they cannot count on data accuracy. So data
Mm,
accuracy is essential because you can do proper tactical action. So if you know that there is a seagull over there, you already know what is the best technique to scare the seagull away, and they are crucial to strategic management. So the data we collect, and later on I can show you a sample report that we produce, are so effective and precise that you can analyze how the birds move, why they move like that, and we integrated the weather information. We are integrating other data. So without an accurate data, you cannot take any proper action. And I give you an example. In one of the sites where the system is right now, after a pilot, when we were doing the pilot, they gave us 6 target species. Okay, so they said we want the system recognize these 6 target species. After 3 months, the system didn't recognize these 6 target species, and the user was complaining, and we said, okay, Here the data, here the videos. Your expert will analyze the videos, and guess what? None of the 6 target species were present at that site. So these tell you a couple of things. First of all, the system always represents the reality. Second, if you are planning to face a threat and there is no a different threat, all your action won't be effective. So data accuracy is essential, and this is why every detection we want to provide the most verifiable data possible. So any detection, you have a video, so you have a footage, and it's not possible to say different but the truth about what you detected. Hopefully I answer your question.
I think so. Yeah, definitely. Uh, I think
Yeah.
once we get done with
All
this
right.
question, we'll move on to the last bit or the next bit. Sorry.
All right. So we are done with our third poll question, and we may proceed to the next slide.
All right, sure. So if I move on to the next part of this case studies, uh, we know that you've worked with Dhaka Airport and Verona Airport. If you could talk a bit more about what your experience was, what the journey was, and what were you able to do for them?
Yes, absolutely. So, and again, thank you for this question because this allow me to introduce a concept. So, for policy, for vision, we always say to people that we don't want to sell a system, but we want to provide a solution. Okay. So when we got in contact with DACA, we start discussing with local authorities, with people that we will have handled the system, and we start discussing about procedures, what to do, what not to do. Because again, for wildlife management, it is not require just technology. Technology is just a feature, a tool. You need to have a broader view of that. So you need to take in consideration procedures, habitat management, environment, and all together uh, uh, get a proper action. So we installed the system in Dhaka, and we start working with the local authorities. We start providing some recommendation about, for example, one of the problems they have in Dhaka, and that I guess is pretty similar to all the country close to there, is the black kite. So black kite feed with snakes and rats. And of course, a snake and rats can live where you have bushes, where there is a situation that is not clean. So, for example, we noticed from the camera that there was a lot of bushes where we saw a lot of black kites. So we recommend to clean them up, and the results was that the number of kite reduces. So in Dhaka, we had, I guess, in the last year, just 2 bird strikes. And from their report, the bird strike happened because nobody promptly reacted to a warning given by the system. And at the end of the day, you apply wildlife management to reduce risk. And one of the element of the risk is the number of birds present. So from the site, we noticed that year on year, 2023, 2024, applying all these together, we were able to reduce the presence of birds on average by 45%. In the last month, we scored 75%. So we were able, putting the technology, using properly the technology, applying the right procedures, maintaining the airports properly, to reduce up to 75% the presence of the birds at the airport. That means that you are reducing the risk of having a bird strike. And in Verona, we did the test to benchmark the performance of human observers compared to the system. And of course, the results were incredibly interesting because we demonstrate that the system can see up to 7.5 times more than people, taking consideration the same time and space. And this is obvious because we did benchmark the system with radar as well. And the results is the same because, again, we can provide accurate data because we can review regardless how the system is good. So this tells you that if you apply the right technology, you well integrate this in your procedures. We apply a wildlife management program. We assign responsibility. We create structures. You can heavily reduce the bird strike because you're reducing the bird presence, so you reduce the presence at the risk of bird strike. And if you wish, I can show you an example of how of our report, so everybody can
Oh,
appreciate. If you
sure.
allow
I'll
me to
stop sharing
share.
my screen. Yeah. Yeah. You might have an option now.
No, can you allow me to share?
There you
Okay,
go.
Yep. Yeah.
here you go. Thank you. So this is an example, is an extract. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Okay, this is an example of what we can do with the data. So here you can observe month by month how the birds moved around that place, right? And you can read the deduction. Of course, while we are approaching the spring time, birds move around where you have bushes because they are nesting and stuff like that. And then we can again make species by species analysis. So we can observe the presence during the time, during the month. We can appreciate how they move. We can extrapolate deduction, discussing with local experts as well. And we can appreciate how they fly around. So we can recall possible source of attraction and make, again, recommendation. So this is just a quick example on how is it possible to extrapolate data from the system that can be used then for tactical management and strategic management of the issue out there.
Right. So what I understand from this is that it's not just about setting up the technology, but there's a whole bit of consultancy that's involved in what you are trying to do with the airports, where you understand what their regional challenges are and try to guide them and assist them in that journey.
Exactly, exactly. Again, we are providing a proposal. So the journey starts providing or requesting data because the system is not just computer vision. As I said, it has a lot of prior information. We try to understand the behavior. We try to turn this behavior in algorithms to better recognize the birds. And then there's going to be a site survey. We discuss together where strategically put the cameras at the airport. We discuss about techniques used, procedures used, and then we can provide our assistance in the risk reduction procedures designing. And then we do data analysis. We will provide detailed report on the system working, on the collected analysis. And we are always available because, again, our scope is to provide a solution to your problem, not to sell a system. And I'll give you an example. We were discussing with a possible customer. We said, if you want a system, we are not the right ones because the system doesn't do miracles per se. You
Right.
need to approach the issue in a different way. And we didn't go ahead with them because they said, okay, we want the system automatically scan this, do this, do this, do this. That is impossible. That is impossible. So, and we didn't go ahead because this is how seriously we take this statement. We want to provide you a solution, not sell you a system.
Right. So that's where we need people to tap out of the SaaS mentality where they just plug something in and it starts working. Maybe
Excellent.
AI for sure doesn't work like that because we understand that you need data, you need to understand the local trends, and then try to curate something that would help you. So it's same, but it's unique for different people, different airports at the same time. Right.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
on the technology part, you've mentioned that Bosch and Lenovo are your partners. What uh, what's their role in this entire ecosystem?
Uh, and NVIDIA as well. So
Oh yeah.
basically, we can deep dive a little bit more, try to
Okay.
maximize the performance of our algorithms. So in terms of performance, so just to give you some numbers, so in an airport, we have a true positive rate that is close to 99%. So just to explain what true positive rate means for everybody. So 99% of the detection that the system shows to you are actually the target assigned, so birds in this case. With a single optical camera, we detect object at more than 3 kilometers away. So, and we classify species, we classify, so there are a lot of difficult tasks that we could achieve, not only because the algorithms and because of the approach, but because we could deep dive on how to maximize the performances of the hardwares we are using. And of course, they recognize to this. So we are technological partners. We are discussing with some of them even for the channel partnership to provide the system. So it is important because you can have a feeling of what they're doing and have a better explanation why they're doing specific choice. And so it is essential. If you want to get performance, you need to know very well what you're using.
Right, that's it. Just one last question from my side, uh, what next for the future? Because when I had met your colleague over here in Dubai, someone had asked that, are you also going to look at how to detect elephants and other animals? So, is that something
Actually,
that you're going to look forward to?
yes, actually, we detected bears, coyote, we detected moose, so we detected a lot of stuff. Again, the system is ready. So the next step, the most close step, will be implementing the system for the urban air mobility, for example. We are
Okay,
launching. We are launching. We are part of a consortium in Italy, and we are launching, I guess, first in the world, a solution. So about drones, about urban air mobility. One of the biggest issue all over the place there is the beyond visual range capability. So authorities are regret to allow people going beyond visual line of sight because of the presence of non-cooperative obstacles, of course. So some places they request human observers, but of course this is not efficient, it's very costly, it's not blah, blah, blah. So together with a company that is part of this consortium, they developed a solution that is applicable to every drones, okay? And that reads our detections and then can communicate to the drone the presence of the obstacles, and then the drone can activate, for example, the most appropriate detect and avoidance strategy. So hold on, turn right, turn left, goes up, goes down. And this is will be important because it is applicable, for example, for aircraft as well. So what we have in the future in mind is a net-centric solution because we are developing the airborne version of the BCMS. So you can have this airborne, you can have the solutions discussing in a network-centric approach. So you can provide real-time picture about non-cooperative obstacles. And again, we can detect whatever. So, for example, a glider, we can detect an aircraft, we can detect a drone. So whatever is non-cooperative, so put a safety issue to who is flying, we detect and we are able to communicate the presence of that.
all right. That also sounds great, just like this one. Uh, I'll end my bit on that. I'm sorry I've made you talk a lot today, but Mark, if there are any questions from the attendees, then probably we go on
All
to
right.
that part.
So we do have a couple of questions here for Mr. Fabio. First is, why is it important to recognize bird species?
First of all, because authorities require that.
Okay.
Mm,
So if you,
all right.
first of all, and second of all, because each species behave in a different way. So if you want to
Uh,
be effective, you have to know what you have in front of
all
you
right.
to apply the best techniques to
Mm,
convince them that this is not the place to be. So simple as that.
all right. That's it.
It is
And
required
then yeah.
and it is effective.
All right. I hope that answers your question, guys. And then we do have another one. So, does the system automatically activate deterrence?
Yes, of course. And if I may, I can show not only activate the dispersal system, but there is an important topics here. So there is nothing in literature that demonstrate the effectiveness of the dispersal system. There is no scientifically proofs. So discussing, and again, I go back to we are looking for a solution. Discussing with one of our customers, they said, we should need to observe while you're automatically activating the dispersal system, the behavior of the bird. So we can effectively say, okay, the crow is not against the crow, this dispersal system is not effective. Against the crane, this dispersal system is effective, or it is effective during springtime. So, and we did realize this one. So, in a side, and I will show the video. So, the camera detect an object on the ground, activate the dispersal system, and then the camera stays there. And then you can appreciate the behavior of the birds, and you can extrapolate it is effective or not. So usually the camera stays in the same position for 3 seconds. You will appreciate how long does it stay here. I will show you in a bit. Okay, so hopefully you will see that. So this is a detection at the airport, and this green dot says that the dispersal system has been activated. Okay,
Just a
so
second. So we see a black screen. I mean, okay, a green dots. My bad. My bad. I couldn't spot up to me.
okay, so the answer to your question is yes, we automatically activate that. Then, as I said, we can review the video. Okay, so we approve of what we say. So this is happening in an airport, someplace in the world. Okay, internet is low, but you will see. Okay, there is the bird here. You can see the bird. Okay, as I said, the camera stays there for 3 seconds, but 3 seconds are passed over, right? So the dispersal system has been activated. We have the time to observe the behavior of the bird. In the meantime, then you will see that the camera, because we want to make sure what the reaction of the bird is, and you will notice that then the camera will change its scanning position.
Angle. Right.
So yeah, so the answer is yes, we do control automatically, not always that, but we are trying to provide a scientifically valuable answer to validate the effectiveness of the different dispersal systems.
All right.
Right.
Right. I hope that answers the question. I hope that satisfies a really good answer. And then, another question for you, Mr. Fabio. Does the system interfere with other systems at the airport?
No, because again, we are passive system. So the site survey, so don't forget that me and the ops lead are coming from the aviation industry. So we were military pilots, so we know what the issues are at an airport. So when I said we discuss with the end user how to strategically put the cameras, because we want to make sure that the cameras has the right coverage, but at the same time, for example, don't provide an obstacles to the airport. So we, together with the obstacle chart, we go together, we decide, okay, this is the maximum height of the cameras, this is the position. And of course, in terms of electronic interference, absolutely not. If there is our preferred means of connection between the cameras is the server using fiber optic, but if there is not fiber optic over there, we can use radio links. And again, this is a proven technology because in Dhaka, in Verona, in another place, we use the radio links, and they have been certified that they not interfere with all the equipment that the airport uses.
All right. And another one for you, Mr. Fabio. As the application performs under different environmental factors, different weather conditions, Example, lightning conditions. In a place like UAE, there's a presence of dust storm. So, yeah.
Okay, it performs pretty well. So during nighttime, we implemented thermal cameras. Okay, during raining, while a radar can be affected by the droplets, so it provides a lot of faults, our system performs much better and is not affected. Of course, you can have reduced performances in detection range because of the visibility or stuff like that. But this is pretty. I mean, we cannot go against physics. Yes, we know that in that areas there are storms, and this is why in Saudi Arabia, so if there is a sandstorm, birds don't fly. Okay, this is a assumption that is true.
Mm,
So if there is, they don't fly. Okay, and even a drone, we will have hard time flying in a sandstorm because of the wind, because of all
mm,
this kind of stuff. And we develop a system that with a single click will put the cameras against the wind in the direction of the wind. So the cameras will be posed in that position and they won't be uh, ruined by the sands, for example, that can scratch the lenses and stuff like that. So we had detection with snow, with wind, with the monsoon in Dhaka, with the strong wind, with the fog, with rains, and the system did perform in an excellent way, even beyond our expectation, actually.
all right. That's actually well explained, Mr. Fabio. Any more questions, guys? Because we're about to wrap this webinar. So, any closing statements, encouraging words to our audience, and also yeah, closing statement, Mr. Fabio and Mr. Anang.
Uh,
Okay,
I don't have a closing. Yes, sorry. Yeah, go for it.
no, please, Anag, go ahead.
No, no, I didn't have any closing statement. That's what I was gonna say. I was only gonna ask you what was your favorite fighter jet to fly back in the days, but yeah, that's my
Yeah.
personal question to you.
I love the F-16. I've been lucky enough to have flown two Birds of Legend, so the F-104, the Starfighters, and the F-16. Of
Correct.
course, unfortunately, I'm old. I would love to fly the F-35, but it's okay. Yeah, I'm too old to do this. So I let the young people enjoy that. As per closing statement, I will recommend and I will say that to apply a solid and effective wildlife management program uh, doesn't exist any magic. So you need a comprehensive approach. You need to develop your wildlife management program. You need to train your people. You need to have technology that allows to better manage your processes, so to let people work better and less, but there is no magic. So there is no system worldwide that is being installed and magically get the birds away from your site.
Mm,
So the approach that need to be taken is okay, uh, study the situation, analyze the situation, apply any corrective action, study the results, and then eventually get ready to modify your approach. This is the only statement. So regardless the technology, the advancement of the technology you use, if you're not using human intelligence, you won't be effective in managing your wildlife program at your airport.
all right. Thank you for the closing statement, Mr. Fabio. And guys, if you have any questions for Mr. Fabio, Mr. Anang, please leave them in our comment section in our LinkedIn page or in our social media channels. And if you have any suggestions in the topics that you want us to cover with the Edge company, please do leave them. Please do send them to it's marcoms.ahb.ai, and then we'll see you in the next webinar. All right. Thank you, Mr. Fabio, Mr. Anal. Thank you.
Thanks a
Thank you
lot.
very much.
All
Have a great day.
Pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
right. Have a great
Thank
day,
you.
guys. Bye.